Okay, guys, we just have a couple things that we're going to look at today. And we're going to look at how to solve square root equations. So it's kind of a nice change of pace from what we've been doing because we're not just learning 5 million new things. Okay, so basically, when you see something like this and you have the radical all by itself, all you do is you square both sides. So I'm going to square this side and I'm going to square this side. Kind of the opposite of what we were doing before when we said you're going to take the square root of both sides. Okay, that's it. Okay, so if it's got a square root, you're going to square it. Now, what if we had like a fraction? Let's say we had something like x over 3 is equal to 4. Okay, no big deal. We're going to square both sides. Oops. So I'm going to leave my x over 3. And when you square a square root, it just makes the square root go away. And it just leaves you with x over 3. It's like they cancel each other out. Okay, and then we multiply both sides by 3. That cancels out. Let's see, 30, 48. And that's it. Okay, so that's not too tough. Now, here's the part that I want you to look at. Let's say that we have something like the square root of x plus 3 equals 9. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to isolate the radical. So it could have been a fourth root, a cube root, any root. You want to get that guy all by itself. Okay, so just like we did with, it didn't have a radical on it. So I would just subtract 3. Square root of x is 6. I'm going to square both sides. Remember that, and that cancel each other out. Now, if you're kind of going, well, how do they cancel each other out? Remember that a square root, that's the same thing as that. That's the same thing as the square root of x. So see how a half of 2 is just 1. So it just goes away. And there we go. Okay, so just get that radical all by itself. And then you're going to square both sides. Okay, what if it was like a bigger looking radical? So let's say we have like 4x minus 5. Something like that. Okay, so same thing. Isolate the radical. Okay, so I'm going to go 4x minus 5 plus 3. Now, you don't have to show me that you went minus 3 minus 3. Okay, now I'm going to square both sides. And I could just leave it right where it's at right here. See if I have a different color pen. You know, I could just say I'm going to square this and I'm going to square that. Okay, well, this is just going to give me 4x minus 5. That's going to give me 49. Okay, got to isolate the x. Add 5 to both sides. Divide by 4. Ta-da! Okay, so again, a lot better, I think, than what we've been doing. Okay. Now, there's also a thing that happens where you might get no solution. We call this an extraneous solution. So let's write this down here. So again, the higher up we go in math, what happens is we're doing the math correctly and we did everything right, but the answer doesn't work. Okay, so, and we call that an extraneous solution. So I don't know what the technical definition. So a solution will say that is mathematically correct, like we didn't make a mistake. But makes a false statement. I'll give you an example of what I mean. And what I mean, well, when I say a false statement, kind of you want to think about you plug it back in. And it doesn't work. And when you're working with square roots, sometimes that happens. So a lot of times we'll say always check for extraneous solutions. Okay, so what you're going to do is, let's see, I guess I should give you an example. So let's say I have, and I'll just try to make a nice easy one. Absolute value of x plus 4 is equal to 3. Okay, so if we're not working with imaginary numbers, well, let's just look what happens here. Absolute value of x plus 4. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. Okay, so now we've got x, it's isolated. I'm going to square both sides. So the square root of x squared is x. Negative 1 squared is 1. Okay, we did not make any mathematical mistake there. That's perfect. Okay, now I'm going to plug it back in. So instead of x, the square root of x is 1 plus 4. The square root of 1 is 1. Okay, we can already see that this is not working. Okay, so we don't erase our answer. Okay, we don't, like you still have to prove it. So you don't erase it, you just put a little X through it, and then you write right next to it that this is extraneous and that this problem has no solution. Okay, and hopefully you could kind of see that it has no solution right here. If I take a number and I add 4 to it, it should get bigger. And I know a square root is always positive. So a positive number plus 4 cannot equal 3. So that should be like a little hint to you when you see those problems that the solution is going to be extraneous. But don't not show any math. You still have to prove it and show that it didn't work. Okay, maybe I'll show you the last type tomorrow. Yeah, that'll be good. Okay, so you're going to turn in your notes, and then I'm going to post a worksheet that I want you to do, problems 1 through 14, and you're going to turn that in. And that's all we got to do. All right, bye-bye.